Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. There's another paid request for Movie Guide 2005. Thank you so much for your generosity. You sent a decent amount of requests. I appreciate that. Thank you for your patience. Same with everyone else out there. Thank you for your generosity as well. If anyone wants to request any type of videos, movie reviews or re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough, whatever the case may be, PayPal's the best way to do it. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And, this is a film that I had heard of for a long, long time. Incheon. The reason being, I remember my friend Mike OCP Communications, Mike. Me and him, there were times we would just go through box office flops, just being intrigued as to what these were and how much money they lost and how much money was put into these productions. And this is a film that would be brought up a lot because it was considered at a time the most expensive flop. Because at the time, in 1981, this cost $46 million. And it only made a couple of million. At $46 million in 1981, that's, if you take inflation, that's probably over $100 million. And most of that money was lost. Now, the big thing with this film was that, okay, it was directed by Terence Young. If that name sounds familiar, he directed Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Thunderball, 3 of the James Bond films. But that's not what I was going to say. The big thing about this film is who financed it. It was the Unification Church of South Korea. And I can't pronounce this guy's name, so I'm just going to call him Moon. Moon was the founder of it. He was the founder of this religious, I don't know what religious organization? I mean, I don't know how the hell else you call them, but some say it's like a type of Christianity. You'd call propaganda, however the hell you want to call it, but this guy doesn't seem like that great of a guy either, because he married a girl when she was 17 and he was like 40. Very religious, I guess. Question mark? So you're this big religious guy, but it's okay to marry a girl if they're 17 and you're 40? And you could cheat on people? Adultery? Oh, whatever. So him and this church financed this production because they love Douglas MacArthur, the guy who was in there during the Korean War, soldier, just general at the time. The reason I'm going slow and stuttering in this review, or close to stuttering, is I don't know what the fuck to make of this film. It's a bad film, but it's weird where so much money was put into this. And if you looked at the battle scenes, you could kind of tell, because there's a lot of extras, a lot of people surrounding the environments, explosions, tanks, bridges blowing up. Every 10 minutes there's some kind of firefight happening. If that, maybe every 7 minutes there's like a firefight happening. You don't give a shit because it's random people shooting random people, but it's people shooting. But yet it's horribly edited. You could make the case this is one of the most horribly edited big budget films ever made. And I don't know if there was like 3 or 4 editors. There must be like people who quit then. If there's 3 or 4 editors, it must be like people who quit, said, fuck it, I'm going home, to, I don't know, jerk off in front of a mirror. Why? Because that'd be better use of my fucking time than watching Incheon to see how many inches are on me. That's the better movie. How many inches are on me? Incheon. And on and on and on. Pinocchio style, when he's lying his ass off. And you know, it's Incheon, there's an exclamation point at the end of the fucking title. But I mean, before I go further the plot, it is the Battle of Incheon during the Korean War in it ended, I think, 1953. By the end of this, MacArthur kind of leaves. Although they don't go into... I'll get to that later. Well, okay. From what I understand, Douglas MacArthur, there's a point that he wanted to bomb the fuck out of China. And that's why he got his ass kicked out and sent back home and away from Korea. They don't put that shit in the movie. But it does say at the beginning, it's not a documentary. So it does say that, which I expected that, so I'm not surprised, but anyway. Laurence Olivier stars in the film. Laurence Olivier is considered one of the great actors of yesteryear. He took this as a paycheck. He admitted it because he got $1 million, and he's pretty much said, I don't have much time on this planet. I want to get some money for my family and for everything else, and I'm going to sell out. That's pretty much what he said. So he got paid $1 million, but it was horrible because he had failing health. It was hard to be on set. A lot of times he had to lie down, and this is a film that went through a lot of crazy production problems. But Laurence Olivier plays Douglas MacArthur. And then you have these kind of random, I say random, but these little stories happening that they try to push in to this 2-hour and, 17-minute movie? Which, by the way, this film has never been on VHS. It has never been on DVD. The only way you're able to see it, it's on YouTube because it was on some channel. And I believe the channel was also from the Unification Church as well. So I think they owned the Washington Times, and then they owned this channel. Good Life, or whatever the fuck. Can it be Pet Life? Just have a dog take a shit right on the movie? Rather be Pet Life, you know. Neuter the bitch so it's not over 2 hours long. Can it just be 5 minutes long? Just Richard Roundtree being cool? Because he is in this film, Shaft himself, Richard Roundtree. Which he does the best he can. I guess I would say that's my favorite part of the movie, just seeing him in the film. Rest in peace to... I think sadly he's passed away, Richard Roundtree. But... okay, let me go into the plot before I get into all this stuff. Laurence Olivier's there with his wife. There's scenes where he's talking with his wife. There's scenes where before he goes to bed, he kneels and he prays. Because they really try to force the prayer into this. The last scene in the film is he's supposed to give this big speech, and he just gives the Lord's Prayer. O Father, art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The way he talks like Joe Biden. That's the best way I would put it. He talks like Joe Biden, and you don't want to talk like Joe Biden. Joe Bidet, as I call him. This is not his finest hour, Olivier. It's not. He takes these awkward long pauses. And they put this awful makeup on him to try to make him look like Douglas MacArthur, but it doesn't work. It just looks like really awkward makeup on him. It looks like someone, I don't know, put him out into the sun too long. He's pruned up or something. He's been baked for too long, and not that baked. Which I've never done, but maybe I should start doing that so I could get through some of these fucking films with a more calmer vibe. And it'll go from, here's Ben Gazzara, may he rest in peace. He was the bad guy in the Patrick Swayze film Roadhouse. He's been in other stuff. He is cheating on his wife, played by Jacqueline Bisset, with this Korean lady. And he's like, oh, I'm going to tell her, just wait here and I'll come back and get you. So that's great to be with an adulterer. What a great character to follow. There'll be this kind of random Korean couple that you don't really know a whole lot about them other than they just want to get the hell out of Dodge. You have Jacqueline Bisset, the woman who at this point doesn't know her husband's a cheater, trying to see him, then being told to get the hell out. She's trying to get the hell out. Her chauffeur gets killed along the way. She got to drive this car, and then going over this bridge, and this guy's like, could you please take my kids? Was he like the grandfather? Anyway, like these kids, their parents are gone. She can't understand the language. She doesn't know what's going on, but she takes the kids. And somehow makes it through this bridge because it blows the fuck up. Richard Roundtree at times, Ben Gazzara is his friend, so at times he'll meet Jacqueline Bisset, try to help her. At one point he gives her a gun, which later she has to use to defend herself and kill a Korean soldier. There's another bit where her car breaks down, and thankfully, by convenience, Richard Roundtree arrives and fixes the truck, and she's able to get the kids where they need to go. There's these long meetings where they do all this planning, and at times it feels so fucking random because there'll be people talking, then it cuts to soldiers killing people, or explosions happening, or soldiers fighting, and most of the time you're not going to know who the hell the people are, who the hell the soldiers are, where is this taking place, who's fighting who. It's like they filmed, I don't know, half the movie of these random battles, and like the first or third battle, you could put it at the end of the film, and you could switch these battles, like the cup game. You know the cup game, you put the ball in, and you put it, like you just shuffle. Put shuffle on your fucking YouTube, your video editor. You just shuffle these battle scenes, and they wouldn't make much of a fucking difference. And that's where the editing comes in. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, this person got shot to shit. Then it'll cut to, oh, this guy's waiting by a boat. He's got down on the boat. He's got to go off. Da-dee-da. They'll go back to, and like, what the fuck? Like this weird ass editing. And speaking of that, there's points where, okay, I said this was on YouTube. At 14 minutes and 5 seconds, the soldiers are gathering these people. It cuts to a still shot of a group of people. I mean like a still shot, because they're not moving. You even look at the feet, and the feet's like, and one person's like, it's a still photo. They cut to. At 14 minutes and 5 seconds, then it cuts back to the action. I'm sitting there going, what the hell? No one noticed this? And then like the editing, like paper dolls, cut to pieces. The sound design. There are times the tanks sound like the fucking Lone Ranger pistol. Pew, pew, pew. I know my friend Fabio. Hope you're doing well. I talked to him on Facebook, and he's taking a long break, but I hope he's doing well. I don't know if he will ever watch this video, but if he does, you would go insane with how they treat the sound design, the military stuff, because the tank sounds like the Lone Ranger shooting his fucking pistol. Pew, pew. I'm like, that's... Even a guy who doesn't know jack shit about the military like me knows that's not how tanks sound like. And then at times they'll show these journalists, and the journalist subplot is completely pointless. Maybe due to the fact that one of the journalists is played by David Jansen. He was Richard Kimball, the lead on the original TV show The Fugitive. He died during the making of this film. So more than likely that means they had to recut stuff and edit stuff, and chunks of the story was cut out. Because it seems like he doesn't like Douglas MacArthur, then he does like Douglas MacArthur. I mean... Oh, and also one of the journalists is Rex Reed, who's an actual journalist. And man, you know... I find it ironic that this guy has critiqued some pretty, you know, in my opinion, pretty good films. But you've been in some really bad ones. What was that one I saw? He was in, where was the Sex Change movie? And like he turned into a girl. It was like another infamous film, infamous flop. I'm like, you're in like the worst movies, Rex Reed. I mean, I know I haven't been in films, but if I acted in, I don't know, Feeders 2, August Underground Mortem, and fucking, I don't know, My Time Machine at the Yard Sale, whatever the hell that movie's called. If I acted in all those, that'd be like, well, it's kind of hard for me to get, you know, make fun of movies because I've been in the worst films ever. Just like Rich Reed has. But the whole journalist stuff, you could cut that out. And this needed to, because the biggest sin of this movie, it is boring. It is so fucking boring. For a movie with this amount of action and explosions and gunfire, it's boring as fuck. Because you don't care about what's going on. You don't care about what's happening. You don't care about the characters. Why should I care about some adulterer, Ben Gazzara, who's cheating on his wife and going to marry or has married this younger Korean lady? And we've only known them for like a minute or two. Toshiro Mifune's in this as that girl's daughter. He's barely in the film. Richard Roundtree does what he can, but he appears every once in a while. Laurence Olivier gives the worst performance I've ever seen him give. Now, granted, I've not seen every film he's been in, but it is the worst performance I've ever seen him give. He's terrible in the movie. Maybe because he's older in age, maybe because of his health problems. You know, he had the awful makeup that looks like he's turning more and more into a fucking raisin. Or a prune. And it sounds like Joel Biden. Doesn't help. Jacqueline Bisset does what she can. But she's just... Like I said, you don't deserve... No. She's just the woman who hasn't found out yet that her husband's cheating on her. And the action seems like... When it gets to a point where they're on this bridge... And the military are coming... And I mean, there's some crazy stuff where there's people jumping off the bridge. Multiple people jumping off the bridge. Richard Roundtree... He even jumps off the bridge. And then someone hits the switch and it blows up the whole bridge. Really massive explosion. And yet I don't care because I'm not invested in the characters. Ben Gazzara, he gives a very... This is his tone of voice for the entire film. He's always talking like this. Once in a while, I swear he's trying to sound a little bit like Telly Savalas, but then he just talking like this. Because I guess this is his serious military voice. But it's this consistent drone that just makes you bored of his performance. So I didn't care for Ben Gazzara's performance. I didn't care about Olivier's performance. And the editing, it just at times feels so damn sporadic. What's going on here with the military? What's going on here? Who is that blowing up that? And why is that blowing up that? And okay, who are the people? It's just terribly edited. And it goes on for so long. Why did this film need to be almost 2.5 fucking hours long? It is deathly dull. Horribly boring. The Korean couple, at one point they get split up and the guy gets taken, forced to volunteer in the military, forced to shoot some of his fellow men. Then later on Ben Gazzara helps out and he shoots one of the Korean soldiers, and or the North Korean soldiers. But then, spoiler, later on he dies, seemingly off screen. And then the girl, I swear, we don't even get a reaction from her finding out her husband died. So it felt like this whole thing with this couple was fucking pointless. Oh, and the girl that Ben Gazzara likes, she also dies. So Ben Gazzara never gets punished for being a fucking cheater, for being an adulterer. Yeah, you cheat on your wife, don't worry. Your mistress, your Korean babe, will get killed, and I can't remember if even Jacqueline Bisset knew what was going on. I can't remember. I don't think so. Or if she did, she forgave him pretty easily. And maybe that was the case. I was zoning out for chunks of this movie because it was so fucking boring. It was boring. Boring. There's a chunk in the third act where some of the characters have to deal with this lighthouse and do this operation because they got to turn on the lighthouse to signal the military, the U.S. forces, and they eventually do, but the guy of the Korean couple and the woman who is fucking Ben Gazzara, the Korean, they die in the middle of it. So Ben Gazzara gets away scot-free, gets no penance, he gets no comeuppance for being a cheater, an adulterer. Douglas MacArthur is welcomed with cheers. He's supposed to give this big speech, and someone even goes, perhaps the most important speech ever, and he just gives the Lord's Prayer. Which I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then it asks us, granted, it does say in text that the war continued, but it still acts like everything was fine. I'm like, it's funny you don't mention, again, that Douglas MacArthur wanted to bomb the fuck out of China. And the president literally had to tell him, you need to get the fuck out of here. Because you're Looney Tunes. You're going over... you're going overboard. You get the fuck back here. You're not bombing China. So in 1951, he was pretty much kicked out. Said, sit down and shut up. And then I think 1953, the Korean War ended. So, yeah. It's a tough sit-through. The dialogue isn't that great. The acting isn't that great. Jared Goldsmith does the music. But to be honest, maybe I have to hear the music on its own without the boring... but the story was boring. I mean, I love Jared Goldsmith, but as I'm listening, I'm like, okay, it's serviceable, but there's nothing in there that went, oh my god, that's such a classic Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, he's a great composer. He's one of my favorite composers. Rest in peace to him. Maybe if I listen on its own. It is funny that this still doesn't have a VHS or DVD release. It's not a good film. Is it one of the worst films ever? No. I mean, come on. August Underground Mortem, Feeders 2, Neil Breen films, The Time Machine I Found at a Yard Sale. That's a real movie. In Our Garden was a Giuseppe Andrews film. Like, come on, dude. There's a lot of bad fucking. I mean, so I don't know if it was. I didn't. Worse, more awful movies have been released on physical media. Maybe it's because it's like no one gives a shit about this movie, and they shouldn't. It's not like all people saw it as a cult following. So bad it's good. It's an overlong movie. It's you could consider one of the worst war films ever. I'll give you that. It's one of the worst war films of all time. I'm trying to think of like a worst war film. It's hard to pick. Hell, Uwe Boll did a film called Tunnel Rats, and I think that's better than this, for what little I remember. It's overlong. Subplots that could have been easily deleted. It doesn't have focus. It feels as if they shot a lot of random action sequences, and every 7 minutes just plugs them in without much context. Horrible editing. Some weird. I mean, from a movie that costs this much, some weird mistakes. I'm mentioning the still picture. Another thing they do from time to time is you'll have someone talk. They haven't finished their sentence and it cuts to another scene. Jacqueline Bisset. She's in the car, the chauffeur, the driver's up top, and she's talking, and I swear before the last sentence is finished, we'll cut to another scene. Same with David Jansen, the reporter. He's talking, and he turns back, and he's talking, and he hasn't even finished his sentence. The rest of his sentence is finished in the next scene that they've cut to. Apparently a lot of people who were in the military, they thought this sucked, that it was laughable in terms of how the military act. This is one bit where they come across some U.S. forces that for some reason are fighting each other. And we don't, like, they're fist fighting each other and wrestling. And the guy's like, stop! Stop fighting each other! Why are you trying to fight the enemy? And I'm like, why are they fighting each other? Why were they fighting each other? The movie never fucking tells us why the fuck they were fighting each other. Why were they fist fighting? I was ready to say fist fucking, but I mean, if you put that in, it might be just as random too. Might as well be. Laurence Olivier. Hell, there's a scene where he goes in, he's got the Popeye pipe. He walks in, these other military people are there, he's supposed to talk. He walks slowly to the front of the room. He slowly pauses, and he slowly lights his pipe. He slowly does it. So, he put the thing in the pipe, but then he forgets it, and sometimes he's kind of doing this, and sometimes he's like holding it upside down in his fucking palm, and I guess it didn't burn him or something. Like he forgot that it was fucking lit or something. He takes these awkward pauses as if he had a senile moment. That's what it seemed like. If this was a choice, it was a bad choice. This was... Man. Well, at least I'll never have to watch it again. The only way I would ever see anyone to watch it is if you are curious about big box office bombs. If you're a historical buff, it's going to get a lot of shit wrong. David Jansen tells a story about MacArthur's father and how he died. If you look at the little details the David Jansen's character says, some of the shit he got wrong, and they didn't do their duty in the, well, no, actually, that's not what happened, or this happened. I get it. Factually wrong a lot of the time, but okay, it's a movie. A lot of movies based on history will get shit wrong. But it's not entertaining either, as a piece of entertainment. I don't care about any of the characters. Actors I like Richard Roundtree, they're not given a whole lot to do. A whole lot beat to the batter. Again, terrible editing. The money, when it's not showing a battle scene, the rest of the movie kind of looks just blasé. And apparently, like I said, there was a lot of problems throughout this film. I think it was supposed to be $18 million budget, and then it ballooned up. There was tons of reshoots and additional photography. At one point, there was a typhoon that wiped some stuff out. They had to rebuild that shit. David Jansen passed away during the making of the film, so they had to refigure the story of the film. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that the guy who financed it, that Moon guy, he wanted shit put in because he's financing the film. So that means different script changes. I have a feeling this film was a lot longer of a movie. I mean, I'm actually curious. Incheon. I just want to see, is there anything that says, like, the original cut of the film? Sorry, I know I'm being silent. I'm just looking at... One night only premiere in DC, May 1981. It was booed off the stream, which resulted in its nationwide release being canceled. At one point in August 1982, they ran a 105-minute version, with a lot of the subplots taken out. Hell, that might be the better version of the movie. It may not a good movie, but that might be a better version. See, the reason I apologize for the pause, and I would bet money that the original version, not for theaters that they wanted to put out, but the original rough cut, I would bet the original rough cut of this movie was a lot longer. Because it just seems like there's shit that should be in there that's cut out, or it's just that piss poorly edited of a movie. Maybe that's the case, but I don't know. I'm kind of done talking about this. I've talked about it for 30-some minutes long. That's way too fucking long. But yeah, Incheon. I'm trying to think. Could this be the worst war film I've seen? I can't think of... Because I think of war films... A chunk of them I like. I mean, I like Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Hamburger Hill I really enjoy. Casualties of War, We Were Soldiers, The Patriot, Revolutionary War, Glory, Dunkirk I thought was okay. I like 1917. That one with, what was it? Tom Hanks? He was on a boat. I forget what the hell it was called. Actually, I did like it. I just forgot the damn title. Sorry. Because I remember thinking, oh, that's a weird title for the film. Of course, Saving Private Ryan, The Thin Red Line, Greyhound. Yeah, Greyhound. I'm curious, what's a list of the worst war films ever? Sniper Special Ops. I don't mean that kind of war, or Captain America 1990. Pearl Harbor, Michael Bay. I would rather watch Pearl Harbor with Michael Bay over this. Pearl Harbor, Michael Bay, I think is a better movie than this. Green Berets, I'd rather watch that over this. Sorry, I'm looking at a list. Why is Missing in Action on this list at all? What the hell? I mean, I didn't see Airstrike that had Bruce Willis in it. Sniper Special Ops, I mean, that's just a crap. That's one of Steven Seagal's worst films, but I don't know. Some put The Hurt Locker on a list. The Hurt Locker's a good damn movie. I liked Black Hawk Down. See, then someone's put like, oh, Starship Troopers 2. I guess that is technically a war film, just a sci-fi one. Anyway. Army of the Dead. Why is that on the fucking list of war films? There was one film I saw, I can't remember his damn name, but it was done in a micro-budget movie. But this was like years ago and I don't remember the damn film. There might be one or two films I've reviewed, seen back in the day that is worse than this, but it's definitely, I would say, the worst big-budget war film I've seen. Just for how uninteresting the characters are, uninteresting the plot is, random and awkward the editing is, poorly constructed, terrible lead performance by Olivier, and just flat-out boredom and just overlong. And this is kind of a guy that likes the thin red line, so if a film's overlong, doesn't automatically mean I hate it. I like the thin red line. Most people said that boring. I liked it because I thought it was a well-told story, good acted story. And that was a film where it got re-edited because people got completely cut out. Like Mickey Rourke got cut out. Most of George Clooney stuff got cut out. I forget. There's some actors that their entire stuff was cut out. I can't remember now. Anyway, going off topic. Fuck Incheon. I'd rather look at my inches on my dick. There you go, later. Unification. Unify these nuts in your mouth. Moon. Have the fucking moon the camera. Moon your face, Mr. Moon. Sit on your face. How about that? Later.